Right, we're back at it. So, I have to make the gasket for this, so I have to take this measurement there. It's about 80 mil, so this is a piston from that Ferguson 20 diesel, and that's coming in roughly about there, so I'm going to use that just to run around it. Scribe around it with this as well. Roughly. And then we're able to fit it onto the end flange of the pump, and we can start cutting the rest of it then. So I also have to look for a stud for this pump. One of these is missing the inside, so that's okay. So how will we fit it there? That's perfect. Really good fit, that. So the reason, must be the reason why I kept them anyway. So that'll hold it on there lightly. That's going to work out now where these bolt holes are going to be. Actually, I ran on over and some a couple of those. Fairly cold here the last few days. So I find when you go and you know, get the holes kind of tapped through, it kind of helps to hold everything in position. If you're not at the best of an angle there, I suppose, to see what's going on. So try and aid that there now. Yeah. So that's good. Even just that much, just that little tab just helps hold it, just like that. See, it's nice and steady now. So what I can do then, get me pen, the old pion, and write around it there. I like these gaskets just to be a little bit too wide. Because I want to reduce the chance of it leaking, because it's a pain taking off pumps after they're mounted, timing and all of that. So anywhere that I find I can't get in with my old pion, I just give her a little tap tap. This is an aluminium flange, but I suppose tapping it with lightly shouldn't do any harm. Or even just rub it like that and you'll get an outline. That'll do either. Don't want to tap. And this pump is just sitting on this vise, so I do have to be careful. Okay. But it's actually it's cutting it nice, getting there now. Even just the bare outline is all I'm looking for. I'll cut it myself with the knife. Now get them tabs back in. Yeah, so it's coming out. You can really see it there in the video, yeah, coming out slowly. And slowly is the most important thing. Just take your time. Okay. Right. Right, we can take off this now, nice and easy. I'm not going to put it on the other side because I should have cut that bit off. Just to get that little bit there and get the hole for the stud. Okay, that's coming together nicely. I'll move you around the other side so you're not just looking at my back. Okay. Cut these out. The pump's got to be able to rotate for spill timing and for just changing the timing. So cut them. Make sure there's plenty of room for them studs to move about. Okay, a little bit of a Tronine left there. I'll try and get him now. And the rest of that now is clear enough, I think, now to go and start cutting it. I prefer to cut it than to baiting with the spanner. Yeah, I might just use the scissors actually. I think would probably be the handiest for that. Doesn't matter if this is too wide. At the end of the day, once it seals, that is all that matters. And leave a little bit extra meat there around where it's thin there. That's good advice, I think, now. Especially when you're twisting the pump. It is going to be loose, so it could tear the gasket then. Fold it inwards and then you try and tighten it up again then, and you have a binola shilamach. You have oil leaking out, so when it's just a little bit stronger, there's less of a chance that that's going to happen. So I do like to go just a little bit wider there, around there. And at the bottom, because these are always, if they're going to leak, they're not going to go leaking at the top. So what else have I done with the pump? Just blanked off the inlet pipe there. Blanked her off and just gave it a bit of a clean. I filled up my bottle there. I have a red kind of a bottle that goes on a gun, and you put in your fuel, and it cleaned all of that out. I'm very happy with that. I just put some paint remover on that because I don't want to go hitting that too much with the wire wheel, but at the same time it'd be nice to have it the same as the rest. So we are kind of coming up to the final clean time. I suppose the question is, do you bother taking all that crispy paint off when you can't see it? Probably, but yeah, I will. I'll remove all of that and just do a final blowout with the air gun and all of that, a final wipe with degreasers and get all that oil off it so that her gasket can stick good, and get the Indian head on it then, and then I can start. I'm actually going to rebuild it here. It's easier to rebuild it here than to be rebuilding it in when it's on the engine. So yeah, let's get on to the next job and just see, I suppose, what's best for doing. I suppose I would like to get off that flaky paint there. I know you won't see it, but I may as well just try and be a little bit more consistent. Even most of it there. Little scratching around there. Make sure there's no extra little bits of gasket there. I want my new gasket to go right in there. I want it held out. Any possibilities for leaking and all of that. So a final little run in there, I think, is called for. Bit of sandpaper. just right up underneath that mounting flange there for the end of the cam. This will just help the gasket get a better hold and the Indian head to do its thing. Okay, quick little scratch like that is more than good enough. Right, I've also been working on the excess fuel button. There it is, and just gave it a bit of a polish up, got rid of the flaky paint on it. So I'm going to put some spray grease in there, let that fill, and that'll turn to grease there now in a minute, and that can keep that lubricated for us. We polished up the end of the rack. It's going in and out lovely and freely. Yes, I want to have a look at this gasket now because I only put that on for cleaning. I want to just make sure that that gasket is reusable. If not, it's very easy to make one. It's only going to take a couple of minutes. So we'll just see what sort of condition that's in. The pumps, these pumps, they really do clean up lovely. If it was mine now, I'd polish it up even more and just clear varnish it. The aluminium makes a nice contrast to the rest of the painted engine and all of that. So that gasket is very, very good. It's not damaged at all. I think that's going to be perfectly usable. Good Indian head. It's only going to be getting the odd bit of splash coming up from down there. Don't think we're going to be needing to make a new gasket for that. It looks like this pump was worked on many years ago. Then I want to start taking out the bleed screws and seeing what condition they're in. So I think what I'll do, get a bit of Indian head on that. I'll put it on the gasket rather than on the pump, because it's a little bit too thin there to be putting it on that. It's lovely and dry as is. You don't have to be fussy with this, it doesn't affect these at all. See where it was squeezing it there, so roughly along and a little bit more even. It's hard to apply this stuff right neatly. Pure treacle. It's just as well it doesn't affect fuel system and all that. Anyway, so that is the upwards way there. These are the kind of nuts, or the bolts, that are off putting in by hand first. Aluminium threads and all of that. So I deepen the slots in these. Some people swing out with these and all they do is just end up bending the cover and then it never seals. So I just keep an eye, watch the Indian head start to come up, and that's good enough for me. This tractor's going to be kept in the shed. Right, so that's starting to look good. What else can we do? We can fit our breather that we worked on earlier on. Made up the new clip for it as kind of factory one. It's nice and copper as well. It's just a nice contrast to the brass, and we put in 2 of the rivets. So we can fit him. Just be a matter of twisting him into place. Okay, doesn't have to be savage tight or anything like that. So it's a square there. Bit more work to be done with the paint remover there, but right, I want to get a new diaphragm. New diaphragm. Going up for them, I don't have one there somewhere. We'll start fitting that then, and it'll be another step closer. Okay, you can just see there now the split pin. I like to put a long split pin in, and I'm after putting a little washer the other side of it as well. So that's ready for in. Another thing I like to do with these is, just since it has to be airtight, just to get a bit of grease and just run it in along there, along that lip, the whole way around. Makes it taking them out a lot easier. Some of these can be hard to take out, and other ones then just fall out. So it's okay if you're going to replacing them every time, but who wants to be doing that? A bit of grease just sorts it out nice and easy. Now, as I mentioned already, these racks often do not like to be twisted. If you twist them, they get catchy. So you want to make sure, you can hear it there now, bring it up a little closer. You want to make sure to grab this side and push the rack the other side. You can hear that. That grease is helping to make that airtight. You can hear it sucking through the air breather. That breather there. I put a bit of wire wool in there, kind of like you'd use for scouring dirty pots, like. So nice and free. Okay, so that's that. What do we need to do now? I have my spray grease in there. It's after setting nicely. So I just want to, I think it's oil, I think they prefer to use on that end of the rack. So it's pulled out as far as it can go. That's the maximum fuel starting position. So just a little, one squirt of oil should do it. This thing takes forever to prime. There we go. One little squirt of oil along it, and the grease then will stay in there. You can feel that. So press your button, it'll go on, tighten up. Should be roughly about there. It doesn't have to be that tight. There we go. Fingers cracking. That's the sign it's tight enough. Right. So that's starting to look nice. I love brass. I love aluminium. So they make a nice contrast with one another. Okay, next part. We did a lot of work on this. I'm just going to give it a final blowout with the air gun. Remember, all of the plungers and the springs were rotten on it, so a bit of oil in there. So final little blow with the air gun, and we'll go and lubricate this up. Okay, so a little bit of oil in there for that plunger, not too much. You do not want to go creating a drag. Okay, so that goes on there, that goes in there, and that goes through the hole. So little twist there, work the oil all around, work them in and out a few times, give them a twist. We had to clean this up till it was falling out because it was completely seized. So that is falling on its own accord there now. It won't be coming out this far anyway because there's a little bit of, what you may call it there, surface rust out of the pitting. So that's good enough. So we'll go and fit that next, and will be another part of the puzzle fitted. Magalore. So where are we? I'm after giving these a little touch of the Dremel. Now, just in case anyone who was watching earlier on thinks that this brush is really, let's say, harsh, it's really, really, really soft. Wouldn't be able to do that otherwise. that's ideal for polishing up those the rack in the pump, just in case you thought it was really, really hard. It's really soft. Like, it's ideal for cleaning these up. There's just a little bit of aluminium, let's say, where she grabbed there. So the likes of that little brush is ideal. It's super soft. You can let it rub off the hand and all there. Just that I clarify that. So diaphragm is fitted. This is oiled up. The oils are leaking through there now. That's exactly what we want to see. It's really, really free compared to what it was before. So I'm very happy with that. So the next step is I just went around in there with my knife as well, just to get any, it was shot glass, but just to get any little flakes of paint. The next job is to just put a bit of grease. Again, it makes everything come off a lot easier, and it helps, considering there's going to be a suction on this. It just helps to seal everything up. If it even thinks it leaking, it'll suck the grease in and all that, and it'll keep water out. Water shouldn't be getting in, but a little smearing of grease never did any harm at all. And if it gets on the diaphragm, being a kind of a leather, it's only going to help as well. So the plunger fell out there, so it goes to show how loose it is, and that's exactly what we want. So we'll put that back in. Okay, so this should, if I pull to stop, I'll lift it up a bit so you can see what's going on there, right? So you push it in, pull back or pull to stop, and I suppose you have to have it bolted on first, but you'll see it starting to come out there when it's in the pull stop position, in the stop position. So what I'm going to do, actually take that off again. I have some anti-seize here. This is not good for bearings or anything like that. It's simply for the likes of these bolts that are going into a different metal. It'll stop them kind of reacting and corroding and getting very sticky. So smear a bit of that, and it's an extra, very easy to rub it away. It's very hard to put it in when it's not in there already. These are enclosed, as you see, they're not going right through, so it's not as if you can spray them from the other side if you're having problems getting them off. So on she goes, everything feels A1 there. The grease is helping to hold it in place. Line her up. Like to pull these in even as well, because it is a bit of a cone shape. It does kind of prefer to pull in level. That's how it seals. Threads are 110%, especially with this anti-seize now. It'll do work wonders for getting them out again. They just will not stick. That Loctite stuff is fantastic. So you want to have it pulled nice and level there. Just like tightening down a rocker cover and all of that. Tighten down your rocker shaft. You don't need to be savage tight. If you do your prep work like I've done there, it's a lot easier putting this on here than on the tractor, especially because you don't have a lift pump here, and that's going to only give you a small amount of space, so you need a proper short screwdriver. If you're going in at any angle ways or scour ways like that, you can take a nyomp out of the slot. So that's that. I have to say, I enjoy this part of doing up the engines. I love these aluminium pieces. They're just, when they're cleaned up, they're really nice to work with. So in here I just put in plenty of grease, just in case there might be an air leak, and there is a bit of wear in that shaft. It's not too bad, it's not worth washing it, but I'm going to put in plenty of grease in there. If I had a dessert spoon there now, I'd actually just scoop it into it completely, the whole lot of it. I want plenty of that, and I want to work it all down into that cross shaft. Work it all in around that. Move it around a little bit, shove it all in there. Plenty. I don't think anything ever suffers from too much grease now. Okay, there's a way that this goes, so you have this little, I'll lift up the camera there and you'll see what I'm talking about here. There's a locator pin on the back here. See it sticking out there. And that goes into there. Like so. And that'll stop it from rocking. So I'll just run and get the 2 screw bolts, and I'll just make sure that the threads are good, the ends, the slots aren't too bad. I can deepen them. I'll give them a rub of that Dremel as well. So yeah, they're just a little bit grubby now in fairness, so we'll just clean that all off. It'll all help. We'll check out the slots then if they need a little deepening or a bit of work, a bit of cosmetic work, and that one doesn't anyway. So anti-seize, plenty of it. These will never have a problem coming out again. This slot is good as well, so plenty of anti-seize on that. Sometimes the aluminium alloy there doesn't like these, that's why you can get a little bit seized. Okay, and actually another thing that I like to do, put a dollop of grease in there as well. It'll help seal it. So there is an air suction in there, a vacuum in there. Okay. Cover the hole with it, and in she goes by. Things are a little bit stiff there, so see what's going on. It's just a matter of twisting probably a little bit. I have to take it off again, I will. I think I'll take it off again and just run them in without the cover. We'll just make sure everything's A-OK. Better safe than sorry. They're definitely a strange thread. We'll just take our time and do it right. Okay. Let's make sure that they go in nice and easy. If they go in nice and easy, it's only just me not having it perfectly, not having it perfectly lined up, I'd say. Let's make sure that's all okay. Yeah, that's perfect anyway. Definitely not worth dogging it now. We're doing so well. Diesel pump will be complete after this part. And just try this side here as well. Not helping that my hands are so greasy, of course. But something's definitely trying to start with a strange thread there. So say that's the left one, which is going in grand. So we'll try this one for the right. There we go, there's actually a lump of dirt in it. That's all it was, that's it. There we go, that's all. But worth checking. Okay, so little locating dowel, if you want to call them that, is on. That's going in a lot easier now. There's a smear of grease in there as well, that'll just help seal her all up. Lovely. That's it, bottomed out. Bottomed out. Okay. That's grand. No need to be going pulling off that. You feel the spring there, it's just kind of click, click, click. So when we're fitting it, make sure it's up. I think this actually has to come out. I think I have that in the, on the end of the throttle rod already. So I'll just have a quick feel of it there with a knife. I can get that out. It's to make life easier. We only noticed it now. Yeah, that's the main thing. We're not dogging that in there now, at least. Brilliant. Okay, we're getting there. So the diesel pump is complete. Diesel pump complete. That's lovely. Spring's working nice. Our gasket is made. I'll put a bit of Indian head on the front. I'll fit the gasket to this. I think is probably the best idea, yeah. I'd say so. Fit the gasket to this. Plenty of this stuff, because I can tell you one thing, when these things leak, these flanges can be bent. The one on my 20 diesel behind me there, I've only worked out lately, is actually bent from people over tightening it. Probably tighten it unlevel, we'll say. So I don't know, it's a bit of the cam has to come out then to get this flat. All of this has to come out. I've had these stripped before, there's a lot of work in them. I had to replace a broken spring on a plunger after the diesel pump was, after getting rebuilt, ironically. Plenty of this stuff on it, because I tell you one thing, these things can fairly horse out oil. And the oil sits down there as well. It's like the bottom of a timing cover. It'll do no harm at all to anything. I won't go up there because that's where our timing marks are and all of that. Okay, plenty. Our gasket then goes on next, so that'll go off. That Indian head will just go off very, very slightly in the next while, and it'll just help stick that gasket, keep her steady. Turned out very well. It's not going to cause any problems. Okay, so one diesel pump complete. So next thing we've got to do is get this baby ready for spill timing. But what I'm going to do, I think before that, because I like to keep that delivery valve holder in place, is work on the place where that diesel pump is attached to the block. That's what I want to do. I want to get that nice and clean, because there is going to have been a bit of oil sitting around there. Yeah, they'll have a bit sitting in there, keeping it wiped. So I'll put in a bit of white paper in there, and I'm just going to give all of this a nice sandpaper, make sure there's no bits of thread sticking out. And I've got to find, before I forget, as you can see, it's been a while since there was one in there. Hope he's not broken. No. To get a stud for there. I have spare ones there. Right, let's get started on that. So the last check I meant to do before bringing it over is just under here. This is important because it's the diaphragm housing, and just this little tap here, this is where your bearings for your cam go. So just give them a little check. It's a lot easier to do it now. They're all okay. Make sure they're tight. So that's good. So let's go and start. I've just cleaned down flange, machined edge here where the pump goes on. So we'll get the work lamp in operation here. Let's plug in the work lamp. Okay, so that's cleaned. That's cleaned. I've managed to get my studs. I have to bring them over, I suppose. I thought I brought them over. Oh, they're on the ground here. So what I do with these is I put a spring washer on them as well, because it's important they don't get loose, and a nice wide washer, because you want it to grab that flange of the pump, and you want it to pull nice and even, because I've seen some of these flanges actually breaking. So we have our gasket on the pump, and it's Indian headed to it. So plenty on here. Got a good degreaser wipe as well. I stuffed paper into the gear there, and I went over with that soft Dremel just to make sure there was no, and just to make the machine's face smooth as possible, so that we get a nice level pull on that pump, and there's a far better chance of it sealing then. So plenty of this. I do not want to see leaks coming through here now, I can tell you. So slob it on Milosevic, wherever he was called. Plenty, especially down the bottom there, that's where they like to leak. How this wasn't leaking without that stud on the inside, I do not know. How's that looking? Sloppy as hell, that's exactly what we want. Okay, right, are we ready to go lifting our pump? Probably are. No, we're not. I want to check one more thing, because I see a bit of oil hanging around the tassel cover here, so I just want to make sure that some of these are just a little bit, yeah, loose. Jesus Christ. That one was definitely leaking oil. I thought, alright, there was a bit oily looking now for my liking. And that's leaky as well, and that's loose. So this is the time to do this. It's a little bit harder when the pump is on. That's how it does. I remember trying to tighten one up with the pump on before. Good luck and good night, as they say. These are a coarse thread nut, bolts I should say, and oil runs down along them, so you do need them tight. That little bio there was definitely leaking. So, okay. We're ready for a pump. Didn't move the pump, didn't turn it. Didn't turn the engine. It only goes in one way anyway. Like the gear only accepts the pump in one way. So just be careful to sit it in nice and level so I don't go disturbing that gasket, and there we go. She's in. So we'll get one of these studs in. Always go for the handiest one, I suppose, first. Of course, that light is doing. So take off all your washers for the first one, so you can get a bit of purchase on it. I thought it was in. Maybe it's not. There we go, I think that's it now. Or at least if we can get it bolted on, we'll be able to fiddle around it. It's thinking of going there, yeah. So we'll just use that one to hold it. Put the washers on again afterwards. I'll put the one on the bottom then. No bother, straight in she goes. I blew out all of these threads as well with the air gun, because when I was starting to screw in the stud there was nothing but oil and watery oil coming out of it. So I've one more there, I want to clean him. I didn't clean him. and I'll come back then. I'll sort of put a better washer on. There's no washer on there at all, and the only one that's left. Actually, no, I have one picked for it, a nice wide one. So I'll give just the treads of that a bit of a clean up. Okay, so we're ready to go. Treads are cleaned up. We have to get this in behind the pump, so I find sometimes you're better off just trying it with an extension. These are the same nuts that are on the exhaust manifold, so they're long nuts, so they will stay in the socket. So it's twisting away there. Just trying to, there we go, there's the hole. And we're going in. It's been a while since there was one of them in there. Now the one thing I will say about tightening this lad, you don't have a whole lot of space, so you just take your time. Now that's enough, because I want to twist the pump back to where it was. Rough. It doesn't really matter, the time is going to get done anyway. Going underneath is the best actually, because I'm going to put the same with this one. You're better off with a ratchet spanner, I think, if even. I'll put the longer extension on it, get past this oil filter, it's stopping me from, there we go, stopping me from giving it a spin. Our injector pipes are probably going to be getting in the way of twisting the pump as well. So I can take him out now and put his washers back on him. My advice for these washers is put the widest one on you can. Seen these break right all across there, and it's a disaster. That's where your timer marks are and all of that stuff. Lovely, so we don't need to go that tight. Just want to make sure the treads are okay. Right, where to next? Take out that out of the lift pump. So we're going to need that lift pump working as well for spin time. Okay. Oh, Shiite. I knew I forgot something. I always forget this part. Me looking at it over here long enough. Goes in there, and I think the best thing to do is to take the pump out again. No, actually I won't. I'll be able to get it out there. I would prefer to have it out. The main reason why I try to rebuild the pumps in the vise is it's awkward then getting these out. Will I just take the bloody thing out again? Yeah, I think I'll just take it out. I'll come back when I've that in the vise and we're ready to go to fit that in. Just as well I remembered, because God, it wouldn't work. But look, people make mistakes, there's nothing broken. So I'll come back when that's ready to fit. We're back out. Better to do this here now. I've made this mistake more than once before. Doesn't matter. If anyone watching this video now will hopefully not make the same mistake. Nothing's broken, no one's hurt. That's my motto in life now the last couple of years. Won't be getting pushed over the small stuff. Me few way. It's not worth it. And the last one, and we're ready for this spring. Always better removing these screw bolts straight. You can get half them straight instead of things in the way, and oil fillers and lift pumps and all of that. So our spring goes in there, around there, and you put it right into the middle of the diaphragm. Keep her pressed. Tighten her up. That's all we have to do. There we go. because I took this off again, I am going to put another bit of Indian head on. So much easier to do it now. Right, so now we can test this spring. This should push the rack back into the maximum fuel position when I press the button on the end. Okay, so is that visible there? So we have our pull to stop. So you press this and there she goes, and you can hear that sucking in air. Pull it back, there's your click into running position. So when the engine starts running, it starts sucking air. And it'll suck this diaphragm back, pull the rack back off this. So there's it on, pull to stop there, that'll actually pull the rack back. And that's a nice, clear click. That's a sign that everything is working nice and free in there. So I'll bring you back over to the tractor and we'll get this fitted again. I'll come back when it's fitted, rather than you watching me doing that again, because I'm going to put a bit more Indian head as well since I've disturbed it. And so we'll get it fitted and we'll come back and we'll see what's next. Maybe you want to see me struggling with a big bulky item. In which case, if you don't, you can use the fast forward function. Okay. So back in we go. Nice and easy there. Keep the gasket intact. It's only when you're doing this do you appreciate the weight of it. So pull stop, lever is just a little bit in the way. I think I'm going to put that into place now. Should really put a split pin, but I don't have 3 hands. Okay, we said to try and put in one of these to hold her still. Okay, that'll hold her still. Line up the time marks and it should click back in. Yeah, there we go, it's in the gear there. Of course, in our bottom one here, we might take off some of them washers to get it. Start threading, or maybe not. No, we're threading. Yeah. Okay, so we're safe enough. The one in the back is next. So into our socket. And we need a bit of paper because this is pure grease. Okay. Now, feel around. So we just want to start threading. Start to bite there, I think. Our ejector lines are just a little bit holding things back, so we'll just sit that one on top there. Just stay still on it. It's going a little bit scowy from my liking there. Okay. We'll chance that. I know by the feel it very quickly. If it's turning, it's threading in. Inside one's just always a little bit awkward. It seems to be pulling it in there. Okay, we're definitely in gear there anyway. That's good. This up doesn't have to be tight at all. I just want to make sure there's no problem with threads, because now is the time to sort it. If there is. That's fine. That's it. That's after. That's after. grip under there nicely. Okay, we'll see how to twist the pump. Yeah, we are. Okay, so now we just take out this delivery valve. To be super careful of keeping this clean. This makes a very important connection. So we have a spring there as well. Spring is in that. So we'll get our snouty pliers. I have a container got for this already. So that is our delivery valve. Okay. So a little clean. And they say to leave him in clean diesel. That's exactly what I'm going to do. So I'll come back when it's going to leave him soaking. Then what they say to do, take out your spring as well, we don't need that. Spill timing. Put back in your delivery valve holder. Tighten them up and put on the injector pipe pointed outwards. I think lovely. This spring can go soak as well. Keep him in diesel. We have an injector pipe, so I'm just going to give that a last blowout with the air gun. Injector pipe, I blew it out already. It's always good just to check, so I'll give a last quick blowout and we'll hitch him up. Okay. Blowing out, lovely. Off with the cap. This is called, in the workshop manual, it's called a swan neck pipe. So I like to just turn that out there because that's going to be running diesel out of it. And when it stops dripping then, as I was twisting the pump, that's known as spill timing. So I put a container underneath that. Can you see it there? Just, you can just see the top of the pipe there, yeah. I'll be putting a container under that. I'll be turning the pump out to me, so from here anti-clockwise, or clockwise from the front. That'll retard it. And then I'll be pushing this towards the block. And then eventually it'll go from a stream of diesel down to drip, 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 and I'll just keep turning it, pushing inwards more and more and more till it just, there'll be a drip literally just sitting there, and that's your spill time. But what we've got to do before then, we have to put on fuel supply, we have to put on our fuel filter, we have to hitch up our lift pump. It's a lot better to have a lift pump for spill timing because you can pressurize the system, whereas it's just gravity feed, it's a little bit harder. One job I can do, now that I'm looking at it, is have a go at trying to hitch up the throttle rod onto the back of this. So I'm hoping that's going to tread in there. Some of these like treading in and some others don't, so I'm hoping it's going to be a little awkward if it doesn't want to tread, but it's treading in beautifully. So I usually work on these and have that much done so I don't have to run into these difficulties. So I'll just get the spanner. And then I'll take you off the stand and I'll show you then what's going on. This work lamp is kind of making things harder to see on the camera at least. And believe you me, when you have a fuel tank on it and all that, it just gets a lot harder to be rooting at this kind of stuff. So I am trying to do things in a bit of an order. She's tightening up lovely anyway. It's just, I'm not getting a great spin on it. I might try the snouty pliers just to get him a little bit of the way. I'm going to give him final tighten up then with the spanner. Okay, that's starting to feel tight there. It's just a little bit awkward to get in there. Get everything in the way. to get right behind them as well is even more awkward. That bloody injector in the way. But we're starting to come through there. Those injectors are just making it a little bit awkward. Only getting 2 or 3 mil of a turn on it each time. Ah, that's it there now. That's her. Job box up. Another job done. Could easily have overlooked that. That's why it's so worth cleaning these parts up and having them right, ready to go. We can leave off our crankcase breather for the time being. We can leave off our air pipe. I think for press them up. So I think what we need to do now is get this diesel tank fitted. I've got some rubber pads for that as well. Unless I want to fit the lift pump, connect the lift pump to the fuel filter, that's what I'll do. So I'll come back when I have the place cleaned up and ready to do that. Right, so hopefully this work lamp isn't going to cause issues. So I think what I usually do is put this one on so it got out. So this is the in. Looks a bit strange. Just me. I know it definitely has to go somewhere like that. Fitted these before that variation. That fits in there anyway. That doesn't look like it's it's right at all. I'll just look at my own 20 diesel and see what the crack is. Just after sitting the tank on there, right? So the pipe now with the lift pump comes down here, and I've yet to come across one of these that isn't a pig to fit. I've already had to do a lot of bending. So at the moment now we're down to this one there, so I need to lift this up a bit and straighten that to get it in there, and we should be good to go. So let's take it out one more time, and hopefully I'll get it sorted once or twice more over in the vise. So I'll come back then hopefully and this will be ready to fit. So what I've decided to do is hitch it up nearly tight in there, just nearly hand tight, and then I can make the final adjustments there. So the tank's just sitting there roughly in place, line up the holes. That's where it's meant to be, and we're not a million miles off there. So basically I'll just get a bar and just give him a little push up, and we should be good to go. Just a little nudge in the right direction, just up. Best to do this, of course, when you have your when you have it fitted. So we'll cover the bar completely. Let's give it a little bend upwards. And now we're mating up there nicely. Screwing on. Now a thing of beauty, boys. So what I can do now, yeah, I fitted a few of these pipes, and there's always a bit of messing with them to get them right, and they're just they're a heavy gauge pipe, like they're really they're hard to bend, but they take bending very well. It's very hard to crease them, like. So, these are an agri-line part 7557. I just seen they're written on the packet, and I have to give it to them. They're top quality. There's some other makes that do these pipes, and you have to put rubber seal on the end of them. These are just an olive, so I never over tighten these. let it leak and tighten it till it stops, instead of going too tight, because if you take it off again, you are in bother. So we're clearing everything there. We're clearing our throttle, I think, are we? No, it's just rubbing the throttle a bit, that's all right. So we can just give him a little bending out. Rubbing it a bit, that's something that we'll get to. You can see our dampener is working there now. God, the throttle feels brilliant. Okay, so where does that leave us? Fuel filter is where it leaves us. Fuel filter, and rippling starting there again on the camera. Yeah, bring over the fuel filter. This is a new pipe to that as well. Okay, so fitted this new pipe to the fuel filter. So I'll move you out of the way here. Hopefully the light doesn't blind you. It's not too bad, is it? Apart from the rippling. Okay. Right, so we need a few washers. So I'll go get a few washers and we'll come back. Okay, fuel filter's on loosely. We have the other pipe now going down to the lift pump and the fuel filter. We have two Doughty washers because I think they're the best, and that has to go through a banjo. So this can be a little bit awkward as well. Usually a bit of bending involved in this as well, and there's going to be a bit of bending involved in this one as well, unfortunately. Okay. Right. Awkward. But we'll get there. This is for two fuel filters. So we're going to have to bend it. I'll put that in there. That fits in there lovely. We're going to have to start bending it. Yeah, I'm just going to start messing with this and slowly getting it there. We'll come back when we have a little bit more progress. So been wrestling away with it there, and I think we're winning the wrestle there. There's always a wrestle with them. They never ever fit. You're probably going to struggle to see exactly what I'm doing because it's in behind. But I just keep the fuel filter loose so you can have a bit more wiggle room, and when everything tightens up, then you can you can tighten everything up then fully. So it's just one of them things. It's slow. You get in with the ring end of the spanner. And you take your time. Remember, my Ferguson 20 diesel in my home place was leaking in the back here. Like these have two fuel filters, and I can tell you one thing: it was not easy getting in there to tighten it with the other fuel filter this side. And then it ended up that this face on it was an original one, and it was just, I don't know, over tightened at some point, and it was out of shape. No matter what sealing washer I put on it, it would leak. So I just had to eventually put a new pipe like this on, but I wanted to keep that tractor as original as possible. The reason why I replaced this pipe was the pipe that was on it, the braiding was actually ripped, and there was jagged wires there, literally about to, I'd say it wouldn't take much for them to actually burst the rubber hose that's inside it. So I said, no, I'm not going to go tempting fate. Just replace with new. This is starting to get a little bit of grip on things there now. When I get this tight, I tighten up the fuel filter. Okay, that's tight, so we can tighten up the fuel filter now. No, I can't. I want to do this connection here first. These are all metric 13mm. Seems to fit best. So, and then finally, when I have both ends of the pipe done, that's when I hit the fuel filter again with a final nipping then. And then we look in and we hopefully don't see any issues with things getting in the way, because you have to bend these pipes. There's a lot of other pipes in the way. You have high pressure pipe, you have the pull to stop lever, that can get in the way. So you just make sure everything's coming there handy. Pull to stop is working. Okay, lovely. We can tighten him up 5/8. Well, actually, what I'm going to do first, I never gave this fuel tank a flush out, and judging by what was in the fuel filters, the last thing I'm doing is turning that pipe on. I have a 5-gallon drum cut in half. So this is getting tipped out. I'm going to strain it back in. But a strainer, put an old pair of a new t-shirt, a new old t-shirt, as they say, a clean one. And what I'll do is I'll use that to strain. This will have to be down a little bit like this. This is too long, so we'll take off our little protector cap here. See what way this wants to go on. Sometimes these pipes need to be bent over it. You have to be very careful because it's really soldered at the end in there. So take your time. Don't go tightening things too quickly. A little bend on it there. Take the pressure off it. Always worthwhile tightening these up by hand for a few turns if you can. That's getting tight there already. So let's have a feel and see how the thread's feeling. I have come across a lot of these that actually brand new need fierce tightening to actually seal because the olivine is so hard. In which case you put another 5/8 on there and stop it twisting because it'll break the end off the pipe. So that's okay, that's going in. It's not too bad, feels good. Okay. So it's starting to look a lot more complete here. I do want to take the bleed screws out of the pump as well at some point there and just check, see what sealing wash is behind them and make sure all's okay. There we go, that's bottomed out. So I don't have another 5/8 on me just here, so I'll get one and give that a nip. We can nip him back up. Don't want him touching the oil filler there, anything that's going to be vibrating, so we'll sit him there. Give him a nip. Check the inside one again for another nip. Downty washer shouldn't need too much. So I'm going to go and rinse out this tank and I'll come back. Okay, tank is flushed out. Rubber pads put all around. I replaced these with the proper UNF bolts so they actually thread in because there's a captive nut in there, so that's good. There was kind of thin, long bolts in there that were actually running right below through the nut, so at least they're nice and neat, right? What else have we done so far? So I'll just give everything a little snug up. I fitted the ejector bleed off or spill off pipe. Nothing is too tight, so I'm just hoping that this part of the is usually probably known as chase the leak. I think leaks are going to be inevitable. There's just so much connections here. So I have all my spanners here beside me. So first one I'm going to do is I'm going to start at the top here. This needs to go a little bit more, so I'll just put the adjustable on that because the 5/8 is a real snug fit. And just start giving him a bit of a nip. Say he'll be leaking at that loose. Right, so that's the first one. So I need my rag there. So I'm ready to put on fuel for the first time. Okay. Right. No bleed screws opening yet. I just want to see. Yeah, so we're leaking here already. So that's alright. We'll just work here. Start at the top. Start at the top. It's gone down to drip there now. Okay. Start at the top and work up. take a long time for that filter to fill with the lead screw open. So I'll get a flat head screwdriver. We'll crack that. We'll crack that lead screw. I might get, yeah, I'll put this drum underneath it here because by the time it actually fills the fuel filter, it will take a while. So I'll put this drum down here. Okay, so the diesel in the tank was rotten. So a lot of it was just too bad to use. Okay, so this needs to be slotted better. So we'll do that now. Tank out of the way. Screwdriver is struggling with that. So quick slot here so we can work. Plenty of meat in it, so we'll give it a good twist. Okay, so first union is staying dry so far at the tap. Pull in our drum. There we go. So it'll probably be a while so I can start pumping now. I don't even do a torch, don't I? As much as we have a work light, I just, it's not the greatest. It sends more shadows over everything, I think. Okay, so here. How are we down there? We're good there so far. You can start to hear air coming there. That's what we want to hear. Take a while for that filter to be filled. So how's things looking in there? Looking good behind anyway. Looking middle in here. A little tighten on this. Just starting to seep around it a little bit. Yeah. Okay, how are we here? These are often hard to seal. Still a bit of a leak up top there, so I'm just going to get the 5/8 at that. Probably take a little bit to form the seal on this because the olives are so hard on them. Okay, now back to, so our bleed bone has no washer on it. Jesus Christ. Page 1, chapter 1, lads. I thought alright there was a lot of diesel hanging around that. We'll sort that anyway. So it has to fill the filter and it has to fill the back of the pump. Okay, not too bad. Dry in the back, dry there. This is leaking there. Just a bit. I usually prefer to tighten them if they are leaking rather than just going straight away. Flat out, tighten everything. I'd like to start seeing something now coming. There you go, that's what we want to see. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll let that drip. I'll just go and get a seal wash for this bleeder. My God. How that was ever meant to seal, I don't know, but that's good. We're working there anyway. This is a tiny little doughty washer because it takes so little pressure to seal, and that's, you won't go wringing threads and all of that crack. So just leave that a little bit loose there and see if we can get some air out of the system. There's your spill timing anyway. Yeah. So all I have to do now is just turn the engine basically to where it's meant to be spill timed, and we'll be good to go. So we're dry in the back of the fuel filter, dry on the front of the fuel filter, a little bit dampy there, dry in the back of the lift pump, dry on top of the fuel filter, tap is still staying dry, so that needs another little nipping. Apart from that, we're looking good. How are we here? This join here, we're good. Injector spill off won't work until we actually run the engine. Injectors are going, but that is good. There's one place we didn't check. I need a mirror to check it. I was frightened looking under these bloody pumps after I put them on. It looks good so far anyway. Okay. Okay, see right up to the screw bolts there. Okay, so we're looking good so far anyway. I think something wet somewhere. I think it's that. I think it was from running down the tank. So I'll leave that for a while and come back. The fuel filter is self-sealing. So inside of that doughty washer is leaking there. So we'll have to do a little bit of loosening on him as mine just move the doughty washer around a little bit, getting to seal a bit better. Sometimes that's all it takes. The usual seal easy enough now, in fairness. Oh, look, we'll get it sealed. At least it's facing out to us. We'll get something on if that'll work. If that doesn't want to work, another little pumping in there. Get the diesel coming out the injector pipe there. At least the one on the inside seems to be dry anyway. That's the main thing, because that can be very awkward in there. How are we down here at the lift pump? We dried up. Inside one is good, outside one it's probably getting there. Another tap, it's gone dry. This isn't leaking either. So yeah, so I'm just going to leave that there overnight. I think we're going to call it quits now for this evening. It's a good bit of work done considering the fuel system's back together. So yeah, so we'll pick up from here tomorrow.